Thanks everybody for coming to Wild Ones Greater Cleveland, our monthly chapter meeting. It is August. It is August 19th today. I will say Mary Lou asked in the comments what is on the screen, and I will say it is cup plant. I do not know what it's related to, but surely we might have someone in the audience who knows, or even we can figure it out momentarily. When we sent out our August newsletter, I was kind of chatting about it a little bit earlier. I kind of made an ode to cup plant in our newsletter. So I'm like, well, I might as well put it in the chapter meeting as well. So here it is again with a cute little goldfinch getting some seeds. So I know this is blooming right now, but we usually do a little bit of around the room to see if anyone wants to share what their favorite thing is blooming in their yard right now. But just a quick reminder that Wild Ones is a national nonprofit for the local chapter here in the greater Cleveland area, covering most of Northeast Ohio, except for Youngstown. We promote native landscapes through education, advocacy, and collaborative action. So is anybody, Sarah, do you have anything in your yard that's blooming right now that's a favorite?
The ironweed is looking lovely, but I just this year, and I didn't expect it to bloom this year, but this year I planted groundnut.
Ooh.
And it was just a tiny little, 1 inch, a couple of them. And they're already on top of my cattle panel trellis that we made. And they all are blooming. They're covered in these gorgeous flowers that just look really unique, kind of a maroon color. Really pretty.
That's awesome. That's very cool. I like the surprises.
Me too.
But ironweed is one of my favorites.
Is
The color
mine.
is
Yeah.
unmatched. Does anybody else want to share what might be blooming in their yard right now?
I'll keep mine very short since I had that little spiel. I have biennial bee blossom, which gorgeous pink and white. If you guys haven't seen it, one of my favorites. Biennial bee blossom, tall sunflower, black-eyed Susan still in full force.
Oh yeah.
I think there are so many goldenrods in my yard. I don't think it's my Canada goldenrod. I think it's my early goldenrod. I think Canada's later in the season. And then finally, I forgot that I planted cup plant. I thought that was my prairie dot coming up. I guess it also is my cup plant. Like the plant in this image I have blooming right now as we speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was my prairie dock. I guess not.
Anybody else want to share?
I have my favorite plant of all time continues to bloom in my garden. It's jewelweed. It still looks absolutely gorgeous. They are all in bloom everywhere, and the hummingbirds absolutely love them. They've been in bloom now, 2 months now. Long
Quite a
time.
bit. Yeah.
Do you have the orange and the yellow?
No, just the orange. That's all that came up. I'm hoping the yellow shows up at some point.
I had a friend donate a handful of yellow plants to me this year. So
Ooh, did they bloom for you?
yeah, I've got at least one that's up and blooming. So I'm hoping they spread and kind of give some color variety.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I have, my jewelweed, it's sort of I let it go crazy. And it's interesting to see the little concentrations of sort of lighter patches of it. And then there's some that are really, really dark red and some that are super vibrant, bright orange. So I feel like there's some genetic drift going on in my yard, and it's kind of cool to watch.
There's always genetic drift going through your yard, Kim.
It's fun. It's fun. It's whether it's violets or it's jewelweed or it's right now I have phlox. My phlox are going crazy too.
Yes, yes.
Royal catchfly.
That's a
Oh.
good one. Have you seen any hummingbirds?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're
That's awesome.
but yeah, they're nectaring from everything though, it seems.
I've got some swamp milkweed, and the blossoms are blooming really pretty and large, almost like a Queen Anne's lace. I've never seen them get that large before.
They
Yeah, my
must be
swamp
liking
did-
the dry.
I was gonna say my swamp did really well this year too.
Oh, maybe it was because of the wet spring.
Probably.
What's interesting.
That blazing star still going?
Oh, that's a
Oh, yeah.
gorgeous one.
I love it.
We had storms at my house last week, and all the ones that are like in the front of the bed are now sad. I gotta tie them up somehow. Anybody else? These are great. I love it. No? Okay. That's fine. Thanks everybody who shared. All right. So we're gonna have Sarah talk here in a second about her presentation on guiding your city to be native plant friendly. We'll do our usual chapter updates after and past and upcoming events and activities for everybody. And here's the cutest little frog hanging out in the cup plant leaves. And I'm gonna apologize now. My throat has a tickle today, so if I like spontaneously go on mute or you see me chugging water, that's why. But just want to give that little FYI while we get started here. So we have Sarah here from the Dayton area. She's a member of the Dayton Area Wild Ones chapter. And I have my description up here. Oh. All right. So the Dayton Area Wild Ones, where is the description? Did I do it twice? Sorry. I'm looking at I'm looking at your little bio that I wrote, and then okay, here we go. Sarah found out that an all-native yard of a friend of hers had been targeted by their city as a nuisance. The incident began a wave of concern among the native plant community that their own yards could be targeted by the vague city ordinance. So Dayton Area Wild Ones organized the concern into a citizens working group to try and influence the direction the landscaping ordinance rewrite would take. And guess who came out on top? So we're going to listen to Sarah. She shares her experience, and not to be a spoiler alert, but her victory as well. So I will stop sharing. Even I can't navigate this sometimes. There we go.
All right.
I'll hand it over to Sarah.
Yeah, so our friend Patricia, her and her husband, she and I are part of kind of like a kind of social justice group called Citizens for a Better Beaver Creek, of which I'm an admin. I'm in leadership in that group. And so they just put out a post that said, "How's everyone doing today?" And she chimed in. It was like, "Not great. Like the city has targeted my yard." And I saw that. And immediately I started reaching out to, our friends Cheryl, who then reached out to Debbie Carr, who's on here, and our Dayton Wild Ones chapter, which Kari is our current president, and the past president, Karen Veve, was kind of transitioning over to Kari at that time. And so word got out, and we started calling, I go to all the city council meetings. So I started contacting my friends at the city. What can we do? They're threatening to, come and mow it all down. I've taken pictures. We've started calling newspapers. I just go to the city and I sit down with, the main city planner, and I said, okay, we just need to stop. We need to stop, and we need to have a discussion. Just let us, just give us a chance to talk and explain what's going on here. Because truly, they had sat down, they had read the ordinance before they pulled up all the grass in their yard and installed this native garden. And nothing in the ordinance said that you had to have a lawn. It said that you couldn't have bare ground. Well, none of their ground is bare. It's, completely covered with native plants. And absolutely stunningly gorgeous. And it had paths that you could walk through and places to sit. you know, but someone had complained. And unfortunately, and I don't know how common this is across cities, but in our city, the system is complaint driven. So if you have a yard like that and nobody complains, nobody notices, good for you. But the moment somebody does, you know, so it's not really a fair system because, I mean, basically you just have to have a cranky neighbor. The rules then don't apply to everyone. And of course, we all know that it's like, it's aesthetics, right? I mean, there are issues, of course, which we address with the city, which, you know, we'll talk about further when it comes to right of way, utility access, stuff like that, you know, that are obvious and not, you know, and you don't want things like poison ivy, like growing on the sidewalks where kids are going to get infected on the way to school, things like that. Common sense. But, you know, largely it's aesthetics. Like I said, we were talking about the people kind of being brainwashed about, you know, what is pretty, what is acceptable, what is lovely. And it's just not something that we believe that you can legislate. You know, people need the freedom to be able to do on their property what they want to do as long as it's within the bounds of safety. So we all came running to the rescue. We created the citizens working group. We all met in the basement of the fire station in a community room and said, what are we going to do? We had people started looking at legal issues because I don't know if you guys are aware, but some of us were aware of cases that have been happening all over the United States. Some of them fairly close to Ohio. In Illinois, for example, a family suit that started down at the municipal level and it rose so high up that they actually won their case and it went all the way up to the state level. And so now in the state, no one can prevent anyone in the state of Illinois from planting native plants. And so they completely won. So we were aware of things like that had happened. And so we kind of divided up. We had some people looking at legal cases, who was losing, were cities losing, were citizens winning, or citizens losing, like, you know, we needed some information. We had two past mayors that attended our group and encouraged us, gave us some pointers of like how to maneuver in the system, who to talk to, you know, who may be more amenable. I use some of my relationships as well with city council members because I've been attending meetings over who I knew was going to be more on our side for this issue. And Debbie Carr, who's on, and Kari, I think also were at some of these meetings, but particularly Debbie, because she lives in Beaver Creek with me. But Kari as well, although she does not live in Beaver Creek with us, but she is, of course, our Dayton Wild Ones president. Multiple meetings were set up with city people, kind of, what is it you need from us? You know, lots of communication. We tried to understand where they were coming from. You know, and in fairness, I think they were pretty open to what we had to convey to them. They were not familiar with this movement at all. We have apparently no green thumbs our entire city council, not one avid gardener in the bunch. So we were starting from zero. We had a lot of education. So some of the things we decided to do, we held library programs. We had, you know, local landscapers come in, and teach our citizen members how to create gardens that are all native plants that look orderly and organized and aesthetically pleasing to your neighbors. I would say everybody in this group, obviously, you can see a total chaos, you know, meadow, whatever, native plants, you're going to adore it. But that's just not the case with your neighbors who want the more traditional, well-kept landscape. And so we took it upon ourselves to take on that teaching aspect and kind of tell the city, we're going to take this on. We're going to help you. You know, we are not going to just let people throw seed and everything goes nuts without bounds. You know, we want to be of assistance. We're not just trying to make a problem for you. we also want to help you find a solution. At our first meeting, which of course, that was another part, getting people to show up to city council meetings. If I show up by myself, nobody believes that there are more people out there that are interested in this than me, right? They think it's just me, one lonely citizen who's showing up to make the city council's life more difficult, right? Just whining and moaning as
You're 100% right, Sarah. You got to have
Yeah.
a tribe with you when you go.
Yes. So we did. So we got people. We got people to come and we got people to get up because we needed to convince the city council that this movement was growing and was not going to go away. And it was something they needed to invest in. And we kind of were telling them stuff like, you know, you have a choice, right? This movement's not going away. You can get on board and we can hold up our city council as people who are forward thinking, as people who care about the environment. You can be our leaders. Like you can be role models for other cities. We can be proud of you as our city council. I said, or the movement's still going to continue on and you can be dragged kicking and screaming. You know, I mean, that's kind of the choice here. I would much rather, as a city, harness this, you know, to make us look good, right? As opposed to being stubborn-headed and, you know, it happening anyway. But we brought up a bunch of points. I'm trying to think. Debbie or Kari, do you guys want to chime in with anything? I'm trying to think. But we started back in August. I guess it's been about a year since we started this, because this happened when their garden was big and lush and everything was blooming and it was super tall and super bushy and super covered in blooms. So it was right about this time. So we kind of convened a meeting and I would say we met just about monthly. And then my presentation that I did was in January. And so this, you know, I mean, what? It's about four or 5 months that we were working on this, kind of prepping. We distributed copies of Nature's Best Hope to all the city council people to help get them excited or at least educated on the subject. Also, I think hoping to spread some goodwill, you know, here's a present. And I do know that at least 2 of them have read it. One of them actually pulled me aside after a meeting a few months ago and said how much he enjoyed reading the book. So, you know, I don't know. What are the questions? What questions do you guys have? Because I feel like I could, you know, talk about this endlessly, but I'd love to know.
Sarah, let me add something.
Yes.
You had told us that they put a pause on the citation for the couple that initiated this whole process 24 hours before they were going to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals. They had appealed this, and come to find out, they were the first people to appeal the validity of the citation, not the fine, the validity of the citation. And
yeah,
they withdrew it to update the weed ordinance, the weeds and grass. It's a typical weeds and grass ordinance.
So this family had made it clear that they were willing to go to court. They had hired an attorney. The city knew that they had hired an attorney. They were going to fight because they'd spent so much time and money, you know, hiring landscapers, buying the plants, installing the plants. They were willing to go to court. Obviously, every city is hoping that the citizen's going to back down. And this family was not going to back down. And so, yeah, I think once they realized, and then I also think once their attorney started looking into it, it wasn't looking good. The city attorney knew it wasn't looking good, that the cases were not going in municipalities' favor. They were going in citizens trying to restore, you know, the earth. It was going in their favor. And that was when they put a hold and decided to rewrite the ordinance.
And then you said that, I think it was in the October timeframe, that you told the group that, we had researched other ordinances, most of other cities that had created a separate section for managed natural landscapes. So we researched all of those and actually wrote an ordinance for the city based upon the city of Oberlin and Bowling Green and
In Oakwood.
Oakwood.
Yeah, I was
The
gonna
city
say,
of-
yeah, I forgot to mention, we had a member in our group named Cheryl Vargas. She was supposed to be on tonight. I thought she was gonna attend, but maybe she's busy. She Oakwood is another suburb, kind of upper middle, upper class, and a nice, more affluent suburb. And a bit more particular. Actually, it's funny because it's sort of like Cleveland Heights, in that it's a little bit older, it's kind of similar style houses, really kind of compact lots, but then also has like, these very sprawling estates occasionally. But she worked with their city and brought in kind of this managed natural landscape into her city. So she had hands-on experience, which she brought to our group, which was extremely helpful. She attended a lot of the city meetings, and guided a lot of our discussions and kind of helped us set goals based on her experience and her success. I think our city was a little bit more difficult than what she experienced in her own. But her help was, invaluable. We couldn't put a cost on that. So, but yeah, so they ended up putting this hold, and we're going to rewrite the ordinance. They had not personalized the ordinance to Beaver Creek at all. They were using the generic kind of what Ohio Revised Code, ORC. And so what Debbie did, specifically, she spent a lot of time doing this, was we tried to find cities that had the same vibe, approximately the same size, just, that were representative. We have a city near us called Yellow Springs. It's where Antioch College is, super liberal, little hippie, you know what I mean? That's not our city. They have an amazing ordinance, super detailed, really long. They have whole lists of native plants that they recommend to their residents. It's a dream ordinance. But their city is not our city. And if we brought Yellow Springs ordinance to our city and said, hey, be like Yellow Springs, Beaver Creek would laugh us out of the building and say, we don't want to be Yellow Springs, but Oakwood was comparable. Oberlin was comparable. There were other cities that we could go and say, look, all these other cities throughout Ohio are already moving in this direction. Like, how about, if they're making it work, we can make it work. So one thing I did forget to say, so we showed up at the initial meeting where they were going to discuss this. It was a planning session. And so the code enforcement guy got up and he was going to discuss this. We did not get to say anything because this was a work session, not a city council meeting. And he gets up and proposes 25% of your front, side, and backyard could be landscaped. Everything else had to be grass. Well, needless to say, that sent like alarm bells off in all of our heads. That was absolutely not acceptable.
Plus, they wanted permits and garden plans.
Yeah, they wanted plans to be submitted before you did any work. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. And so that was kind of what, spurred us on to then write our own ordinance and get on with education, because they just had no idea at all what we were trying to accomplish in our yards. They thought that we'd all just decided that we didn't like mowing, and these amazing flower gardens had just sprung up out of our laziness, kind of what your member was saying earlier. And we all know that's not how this works. You don't just, you stop mowing and you end up with honeysuckle and garlic mustard, right? That's what happens. So we all know that it's not just laziness, that we all didn't just stop maintaining our yard. No, we spend a tremendous amount of time and money and effort out there. but they just don't know that.
Sarah, can I interject?
Please.
Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So when we were at the Midwest Native Plant Conference, I can't remember who we were having a conversation with, but it seemed that the city of Beaver Creek either got lucky or had some foresight because another city that a member was talking about had their city weed ordinance was 50% landscaped was allowed, but that was only for native gardens. And she said they were able to sue because it wasn't uniformly presented for, non-native and native gardens. In the case of Beaver Creek, they made it uniform across all kinds of gardens. And that way they avoided being sued. So I don't know if they had done some research on that. Had you heard about that before?
No, I had not heard that. That's interesting. I mean, I know that they have not gone back and bothered either, because there was another family that was also involved, and I know they have not gone back and bothered either family. Like I was telling the group before, I don't know if you heard me, Kari, but Deb and I just spent Monday out on a business's property who have created a beautiful prairie.
Oh yeah, I've been in communication with them. Yeah.
Yeah, and the businesses around it are complaining. It's a professional area, and they're kind of just saying this doesn't look professional.
Mhm.
We have a meeting with them on Thursday, and our code enforcement guy, I don't know, I feel like it's this, I have a tiny bit of dominion over a thing, and they show up and then, try to bludgeon citizens about the head with their tiny little bit of authority. So we're gonna try to come up with a compromise. And now I don't know, I mean, you said we came out on top. I don't know that we came out on top. We made progress. It was a compromise, which means that no one's really very happy, right? We would like, of course, to see more, but we definitely made first steps. So we started, like I said, with the 25% side, front side, and backyards. That was where they wanted to start. And now we get 50% of our front yard, no restrictions on side and backyard at all. Also, no height restrictions. They do ask that we keep the right of way clear, which can be a substantial, chunk of the front of your yard, unfortunately, for some people. Some people it's more, some people it's less, just kind of depends where utilities are. But they have stated to us that should it go well, and should it not become a problem, they would be amenable in the future to expanding that to 60, 75, which is hopeful. So, and I think through our work, I think we have managed to not blow up our relationship with the city. I feel like we're all still on friendly terms. It never became contentious. I think they appreciated the work we did. We worked really hard. As you'll see in the presentation, we are only allotted 9 minutes. We stayed within those 9 minutes. We respected the city council's rules. We fit what we needed to fit inside of that. So, I think that's was an important part of our work, is that we were not looking to come in and be enemies. We want the city to thrive too. We wanted them to look good. We just, wanted a little bit more leeway to do what we were doing. And they needed a lot of knowledge and still need a lot of knowledge. The code enforcement guys still don't know what they're doing. They don't really know anything about it. But we've also, like I said, Debbie and I were out there. We're willing to put in time. We're willing to go out and visit places. We're willing to, have the city contact us and allow us to help when they run into people like us, which is hopefully going to be more and more frequent, right? That's the goal. So,
And to give them credit too, Sarah, after the meeting, the planning meeting that she was talking about, the city work session where the public is not allowed to speak, when they were discussing the serious limitations, the code enforcement supervisor came over to our group. We probably had, what, 15 people there?
Oh, yeah.
Came over to our group and basically got an earful, and he listened and he made some changes after that. They utilized a lot of what we wrote in the ordinance that we prepared, but they kind of cherry picked. They did not do a separate section for managed natural landscapes like most municipalities have done, because it's a different aesthetic. Yeah, they said they don't care the origin of the plant. And we tried to stress the same thing. It doesn't matter as long as it's managed, as long as it's taken care of. And they did listen. One thing I want to mention too, the publicity helped, because that brought more people and more public comments. And another thing, in our discussions and our meetings with just the planning director and zoning code enforcement supervisor, some things that they dismissed outright that were mentioned in the citizens' comments at a city council meeting, council members picked up on, and the topics that were dismissed were then brought forward and added to the ordinance. Case in point, invasive species. They didn't say, oh, that's not necessary. Or, you know, the new 50% restriction on front yard landscaping. I have several neighbors that are master gardeners, and far more than 50% of their front yard is already landscaped. I asked about a grandfather clause and was told it's not necessary. But one of the council members picked up on that, and they put in a grandfather clause. So their citizen comments are really important, and they do listen.
Yeah, they do. And I cannot stress enough, get to know your city council people, be friends with them. They're people. I mean, they have things they care about. And if you can get to know them well enough to know what they care about and be in relationship with them, you can tailor your message so that it appeals to these people that have a vote, that are making your policies, right? If they have children, right? You tailor your message so that you're telling them that these things are going to benefit their children, right? Whatever they're passionate about, you find out that thing and you tailor your message so that, you know, this is good for you too. Get on board. Like this, you know, this is what you want. You want this too. It makes a big difference. So, like I said, we have another meeting to solve another problem on Thursday, but you know, I think we can come up with a compromise based on how far we've come already with their new, you know, with their new ordinance. I think we can fit inside that and help this business keep their prairie. Because I will tell you that Debbie and I saw some really beautiful, I mean, it's the dragonflies and the damselflies and the butterflies and so many species of plants up there. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, can I interject?
Go.
When you were speaking of using their language and adopting their concerns, when I was creating the PowerPoint for you to present, I looked long and hard to find some data that showed that native landscaping can increase property values. Yep. Because the money really spoke to them. You could tell time and time again, they were concerned about property values.
Yeah.
All of our talk about biodiversity, and which to me, the loss of biodiversity is very frightening. But when it came down to it, it seemed like their city council members, they're caring about property values. So we did manage to find some data that said that property values can increase. And thinking back, it's been going on for a long time that if you see a house in a real estate magazine, it will say wooded lot because people like trees. So it's just moving more in the direction too of recognizing that these plants that have weed in the name can sometimes be beautiful as well.
Yeah. So if you'd like, I can go ahead and pull up my 9-minute presentation. It doesn't take long, but you can kind of see us zoom. Kari, I was going to say, did you send them the slides already?
I sent to Janice.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have them.
So you could distribute those to your members if they
I
want.
definitely can. Yep.
Put a pin on that, Sarah. So Debbie and Cheryl and I are going to create a copy that has state and area wild ones on it.
Awesome.
And so we would like to wait until it's widely distributed, and we're going to connect it to our website. So
Great.
it can be, so people can just be given a link to our website.
Absolutely. All
That'd
right.
be great.
So let me go.
Yeah, let's we'll watch the video and then we'll answer questions.
Yeah, I was going to say whatever questions people have. All right, let me see if I can do this quickly.
I have faith in you.
All right. Oh, let's see here. We get. All right, can you all see it?
Yes.
Okay, I already have it queued up to where I'm at, like right when I'm about to start talking. So here we go.
Is it weird to watch yourself?
Yes, it is very weird.
And addressing council on any subject, please come forward. State your name, address. You will have 3 minutes. Up to 6 minutes can be donated to you. This is not an back and forth. It's just a presentation. And if you do donate your time, please come to the microphone and state your name and address, because it is a public meeting. We have to keep public records.
My name is Catherine Plum. I reside at 2469 Queen Elizabeth Court here in Beaver Creek, and I'm giving my minutes to Sarah.
If you think it might rain later, then all you need is this bearskin heavy storm rain jacket. That's because this is the only hiking grade packable rain jacket that's versatile enough to cover and protect any regular outfit, but strong enough to handle a.
I'm Valerie Van Greethuysen, 1199 Edition Drive. I'm also an Ohio certified volunteer naturalist, and I'm giving my 3 minutes to Sarah.
Sarah Bills, 2948 Terra Trail. And do you have my, oh, perfect. All right. I'm here tonight because we learned that the city was getting ready to create a new landscape ordinance. And so some concerned citizens got together in order to convey some information to you guys that's important to us and hopefully be of assistance. We're hoping to be helpful here. All right. So, manage natural landscapes. What are native plants? Plants that have occurred naturally for thousands of years in a region, ecosystem or habitat without human introduction. Native plants have evolved over time to adapt to the local climate, soil, and other native plants and animals. What is a managed natural landscape? It's a planned, intentional, and maintained planting of predominantly native plant species. It can include sedges, grasses, wildflowers, ferns, shrubs, trees, vines, and different types of gardens, rain gardens, pollinator gardens, woodland gardens, and ornamental plantings as well. Why create natural landscapes? There's been a drastic decline of birds, butterflies, bees, and other species. We've lost 3 billion birds in North America since the 1970s, including 30% of our songbirds. Monarch butterfly numbers have dropped as much as 90% in the east and over 99% in the west. 33,000 species of native plants and animals in the US are imperiled or functionally extinct, meaning that they're not contributing the way they ought to in the local ecosystem. The UN says we'll lose 1 million species in the next 20 years. Insect populations are in especially serious decline. Populations dwindled 78% from 1973 to 2013 and continue to fall. We need insects to pollinate 90% of our plant species. Birds need insects and insects need native plants. 96% of terrestrial bird species in the US must feed their young insects. Those bird feeders that everybody loves so much do not feed the babies. Carolina chickadees need as many as 9,000 caterpillars to raise just one brood. Many caterpillars can eat only one or a few native plant species. As you can see here, the bottom two pictures, the monarch and its accompanying caterpillar, only eat milkweed. And there are multiple species of milkweed, but they do need milkweed. And some butterflies and some butterflies are generalists, but many of them need 1, 2, or maybe 3 specific plants to eat, or they cannot survive. There is almost no intact habitat left in the Midwest. This map I'm showing shows intact habitat cores, which are minimally disturbed natural areas, at least 100 acres in size and greater than 200 meters wide. The dark green areas indicate intact habitat and high biodiversity. Much of the Midwest has almost no remaining intact habitat. You can see right where Ohio is, and it's pretty darn white up there. Conventional landscaping is costly and damaging to the environment. Intensive use of fossil fuels, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, water, and labor. Turfgrass does not support habitat. 50 to 70% of invasive species and 82% of invasive woody plants were introduced through horticultural trade. Non-native invasive species threaten crops and native species. Invasive species spread rapidly and outcompete native plants and crops. 42% of threatened or endangered native species are at risk because of native plants, or because of invasive species. Here you can see a list of common invasive plants. There are more than this, unfortunately. We highlighted some of the more common ones that we know are kind of larger concern in the area. But yeah. Benefits of native plants. They feed native pollinators and birds. Many grow in poor soil, like the clay that we all struggle with here in Ohio. Many are drought resistant. They require less watering, no mowing, and no fertilizing. They sequester large quantities of carbon back into the ground. They have much deeper root systems than turfgrass, absorb rains and stormwater runoff, control erosion, and reduce standing water for breeding mosquitoes. In this chart, you can see where that little red circle is. That is the root system of turfgrass, which is very, very minimal compared to the robust and absorbent root systems of native plants. Managed natural landscapes can save local governments money. Native prairie landscaping costs 56% less to install than traditional landscaping, an annual average savings of $3,400 per acre. Native species also reduce costs by absorbing water that would otherwise flow into sewers, decreasing levels of erosion, and filtering harmful pollutants before they reach waterways. Managed natural landscapes reduce the need for costly stormwater improvement projects. I will not go into the details of the two that we have listed here because you all know this very well, being in the position you are in. Managed natural landscapes mean more birds. Bird-friendly yards with native plants see almost twice as many bird species on average as conventionally landscaped yards. I've been enjoying the bluebirds that have shown up in my yard since I transitioned to all native landscaping. Natural landscaping, myth versus facts. There are some myths out there that are somewhat damaging to our native planting reputation. Myth, natural landscapes attract vermin. Natural landscapes cannot sustain a population of black or Norway rats. These non-native rats do not eat the seeds of our native grasses and flowers. They are attracted to human-produced food, corn, grain, pet foods, and food scraps.
If you're unsure or unaware of your eyeglass prescription, or if your prescription changes frequently due to nearsightedness,
Unsecured garbage is the main attraction for most pests, such as rodents and raccoons. Native landscaping is not. Native plants attract animals that eat insect pests. And Canada geese, often considered pests, prefer short turf grass over tall and native grasses. I know someone in Beaver Creek who's actually working with their HOA to install native grasses around the retention pond to keep the geese out of their neighborhood because they don't like it. Another myth is natural landscapes are breeding grounds for mosquitoes. This is not a Beaver Creek resident, but a local resident here in the Dayton area. It's their actual yard. So facts, mosquitoes need standing water to breed. A turf lawn with its shallow root system is more likely to be unable to soak up all the water from a heavy rain than a natural landscape with its deeper roots. Another myth, natural landscapes lower property values because they are messy. The facts, real estate with distinctive, well-done natural landscaping actually possesses a marketing edge and has a positive effect on property values. Developers cite the natural landscapes retained in their developments as an asset and charge more for naturally landscaped homes than for homes in areas with traditional landscaping. High-quality natural features like woodland corridors can preserve and strengthen a community's unique characteristics. Natural landscaping with reduced turfgrass is a growing movement. Neighborhood organizations, environmental restoration professionals, landscape architects, and nurseries are turning more often to natural landscaping for aesthetic and economic reasons, as well as for environmental benefits like reduced stormwater runoff and improved wildlife habitat. Here's a recent article in the Dayton Daily News from just a couple weeks ago. And you can see right there, the 2025 trends tend to turn to more natural landscapes that allow homeowners to reconnect with nature and be a little kinder to the planet in the process. People are buying plants for wildlife. 1 in 3 U.S. adults, 34%, purchased plants to help wildlife in 2021, an increase of just 26% in 1 year. 1 in 4 people buy native plants, and people planning to transform portions of lawn to native landscape went from 9% in 2019 to 19% in 2021. Growing native plants is important to 83 to 96% of U.S. consumers. And I am wrapping up right here. Homegrown National Park is a national movement to restore biodiversity. It's conceived by entomologist Doug Talmy, who will be in town 3 times this coming year, and we hope you all will be willing to go and hear what he has to say and to learn from his wisdom. This is our ordinance. I'm not going to go through it, but it's been provided to you. It was based on City of Oakwood and other local ordinances that are very similar. And with that, Native Guard inspirations to enjoy. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I'm impressed. You got through all of that in 9 minutes. When I read that at home, I said, there's no way in the world she'll do that.
All right. So there you go.
It was fantastic. I love it. I love it, love it.
I instinctively wanted to clap because I felt like I was in that room. And then I was clapping at the end. I'm like, oh, wait, I'm watching a video of it. But no, that was fantastic.
All right, let me see if I can unshare here. Oh, there we go. How
Do
I
you know, I know you said you gave out copies of Doug's book. Do you know if any of the council members went and actually saw him talk?
I did not see them at the one I went to. I did not go to all of the events that he was there for. So how do I get out of the screen sharing thing?
There should be a little
Yeah. Stop share.
Yeah.
Here we are. Perfect.
You
Yeah,
got it.
I don't know. They didn't come to the one, and I know Debbie and Kari were there as well. I didn't see them. I don't know if they went to the other ones. I do know at least 2 of them have read the books that we provided. And I actually have had a couple city employees come up to me and ask me about like kind of problem areas in their yards and like what I would suggest. So
That's funny.
yeah.
All right. So we did have one question in the chat. What was the timeline on the situation? So I'm assuming that's like, hey, when did you hear that so and so got a violation to like when you did that presentation?
I think probably July was when Patricia first I first saw her post, and then I ran to her house and started making phone calls. I would say we had our first meeting within a month And then we pretty much met every month, for the most part, up until I did my presentation in January. We had I think a little break in there. And we didn't all necessarily meet all the time. Once we got closer and we had done the research and stuff, some of our meetings were a little bit smaller, like Debbie and Cheryl and Kari, I think, was there. We met to just like kind of practice the presentation and fine tune the presentation. We had a lot of, online suggestions, like we'd send out the slideshow and say, what does everybody think? And so Kari would get a bunch of feedback, she'd make changes and then send it out again. And then that presentation that I did was, of course, the end of January. And part of the reason we did it then was because we were told, I talked to the city guy, to Randy, and I said, when do we need to have this done by, so that like we do our presentation before you make your decision. And that was the day that we were told to do it on. So
yeah, early on, it was creating our own suggested version of a managed natural landscape ordinance to present to them, to give them something to work with. And we were really hoping they would adopt that like the city of Oakwood did. So we did have to work in some smaller groups to create that managed natural landscape ordinance. And then we get together as the larger group once a month, and people made suggestions. We go back to the drawing board.
I have a question. If you all made this working group, was it ever a suggestion to city council that they create a committee to kind of manage possibly this endeavor moving forward? Or is it just, hey, you guys work well together, and if there's ever an issue, like, you'll be on call kind of thing?
So I am actually on the city's tree advisory committee, or tree advisory board. So we do have that board. We also in the city have the environmental board. So some of these issues kind of trickle down to us when it comes to, and that's part of the reason, and that's my personal soapbox. Get on your committees, find out what your cities have in the way of committees, and get on them, because you can't change the agenda if you're not on them. Right now in the tree advisory board, for example, I think all of us are native planters except one. So
that's fun.
Yeah, it is. So like we're right now, like, getting ready to have, a corridor of Bradford pears removed and replaced. And the trees we're looking at are almost exclusively native. And it's because they're native planters on the board. So we do have those organizations. Sometimes getting city council to use us can be an issue, or even to take our recommendations sometimes, because we are just citizens. We're not being paid. It's not official, right? We don't really have any power. So
in our meetings with planning and zoning before the one that you came on, Sarah, we did suggest that if there are any citations, if they could contact the Dayton area wild ones, so we could go out like you and I did.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't in this case. So
we also have another organization in town, a wetlands organization, which is not part of the government, but people do reach out to them as well. So sometimes stuff gets flung over. They all know us because a lot of us volunteer with them or are friends with them, and so they will shoot things our way as well.
And that's how this particular instance came to the wild ones, by way of the Beaver Creek Wetlands Association.
Yeah, the business, the one that we went out and saw, that came through the wetlands.
Yeah, they gave him my contact information, and so that's where it all started for that. But the city was, Debbie is saying the city was supposed to notify us.
Yes.
That's why I'm wondering
if it's not a citation yet. It's not at the citation process, right?
No, it's not.
That's why I'm wondering if, a formal committee is presented, or I think recommended would be the proper term to city council to approve. I was just serving on a committee myself in my jurisdiction, and you know, we had made from what we were doing, we had made recommendation that the city council, you know, create and approve 2 additional committees, so that way, you know, they could keep on these 2 topics moving forward. So that's why I'm wondering, you know, if it's obviously it's still going to be volunteer, but if it's approved by them and therefore they almost have that, like they have to inform you in that case, you know, of instead of just a citizens working group, it's like, oh, this is our committee that was voted on by us. We have to, you know, we have to tell them about things, but just an idea.
Yeah, it's
Does anybody
definitely
else?
something to consider.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Does anybody else have any questions for Sarah or Kari or Debbie? It is raining here now, by the way.
Yay.
Oh, a thunderstorm started up here.
Nice.
So I was happy about that. I was gonna actually say I plan on, because I'm up here in Cleveland, so we're having a huge political year. So all the seats are up for reelection, mayor's up for reelection. My friend's actually running for councilwoman for my ward, which I'm happy about, Nikki Hudson. I planned on, they're not, nothing came from that letter in May when I said that that bully sent me a letter. I had my councilman out here, which I agree with your statement. Make friends with your council people and your just anyone in that sphere, because it impacts you so much more sometimes than the federal ones. Like, don't just vote at the presidential ones, do your local elections too. That's just as important. But after that side note, I even had him come out and his assistant, even my councilman said, what you're doing is great. He loved my intentional signage. I have like the Wild Ones official prairie corridor sign for our region. I have other native sign. I'm showing people I'm doing it with intent. So he loved it. So I feel good knowing that I have city council on my side.
That's
And
great.
so I wanted to say that I agree. Feeling like they're on your side definitely makes you feel like you have something in your back pocket when your neighbors try to intimidate you or threaten you. Because if you have the law on your side, you truly are unbothered by their complaints. So
Oh.
if anything does come from that and they do start to say, hey, your plans, people are complaining, I wanted to do something similar. So I might maybe reach out next year, say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this up here in Cleveland. Do you have any tips? Or so that was very, very inspirational to see you do that and when.
Yeah, I'm actually running for city council. I'm on the ballot for November. So.
Oh, congrats. That is
That's awesome.
wow, that is really good news. Congratulations.
Well, yeah, don't congratulate me yet.
Oh yeah. Well, now I'm gonna have to check the results of Dayton come November because I'll be like I want to make sure Sarah won. So I will. I'm actually gonna pencil that down to keep tabs on that.
Cool.
Yeah, let
Thanks.
us
I
know how it
appreciate
goes.
that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it definitely helps. I really would like to see the complaint driven system disappear. I think everybody else from our group would agree that it needs to go the way the
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it can be worse because my township for the first time in the 20, oh gosh, no, it's been 30 years since I've lived here, sent out a letter saying they're going to drive around looking for violations.
Oh, great.
So it could be worse.
Because they have nothing else to do with their time.
Right.
Nothing
All right.
important.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for coming to talk with us, and thanks, Kari and Debbie, for chiming in. Feel free if you'd like to jump off, you can and have the rest of your night, or you can hang out with us and see the rest of our chapter updates that we have. But thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So since July, in our July chapter meeting, we have 10 new members. I don't think I didn't see anybody's name on here. 10 people is fantastic. In July, we had the big announcement that we had reached 200 gardens on our native habitat corridor. So now we are definitely over 200. I don't think we've gotten to a substantial earth-breaking number yet again, but it's definitely over that 200. I see those emails coming in all the time for people joining. So it's very exciting. If you don't know what it is, it's kind of like registering your yard as there's a bunch of different ones like the Homegrown National Park. Over in Cleveland Heights, they have the pollinator pathway. Summit County, they have their Wild Backyards program. But it's just a way, we have this interactive map on our website. It kind of shows where all of our habitat gardens are. So you can kind of see, where there might be a concentration of gardens, which is really exciting. I always like to compare the native gardens or the habitat corridors to, you're providing grocery stores and you're providing restaurants for all the flying critters that are going through, whether it be the butterflies, the bees, the birds. You're providing that food, shelter, host plant for the butterfly or for the caterpillars to munch on, all that good stuff. And ours is free to join. And you can either obscure your address, so it's kind of it's like Airbnb when it kind of just shows randomly where something might be, or if you want people to come check out, if you have a really awesome front yard, you can not obscure your address and have people come by and check out your plants.
What does the key mean? The different colors, out of curiosity.
So that's a great question.
I can actually answer that.
I was gonna say, Diab.
I kind of help Aaron. There's like a group of us who kind of add these submissions, and the green basically means, I believe, like you could see like there's a house and there's like a flower. Green means it's publicly accessible. But with the house, we had to kind of specify the verbiage, like it's a private residence, but they can like enjoy from the sidewalk. And then green also means like it's I believe, I'll have to check. I think it means they also have the exact location, but red is completely private. So and most of them are home. Yeah, all the red ones are homes because the businesses obviously are public. So yeah, basically the red is just like a private address. So they have it like obscured so you can't see like the actual address, but it's in that general area. So yeah, green's kind of more public, red's private. And then like there's house, and the trees mean like parks or like reserves and stuff like that.
I believe we also have a map like this that shows the local native plant nurseries as well. I'm not sure if they're on this one or if they're on our website somewhere else.
I think that flower one on the lake, kind of an upper center of the screen.
Yeah,
I think that one's Meadow City.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So that being said, you too can be like Diab and help us process gardens in the background if you would like. We've had a real influx of people joining lately. So it's always nice to have an extra hand to help. So if you're interested in getting involved in volunteering somehow and want kind of like, just I don't want to say easy, but just, you can pick when you have the time to process some gardens, and it can be, on your availability. So reach out to us and let us know. All right. I shared this in our last chapter meeting. I'm going to share it again, and then you won't see it again. We have added educational worksheets on our website. So if you go to greaterclevelandwildones.org, go up to resources, and then you can click on educational worksheets, and it'll have all of the things that we've been doing through last year and this year. So we have our winter sowing worksheet. When Diab did the removal of invasive English ivy workshop, we have a handout from that. Kim did our shrub propagation from softwood cuttings. We have the handout for that. And also the butterfly puddler how-to. And that's to get butterflies a little extra minerals and nutrients while they're hanging out in your garden. So you can find us around town starting next month. The Medina County Park District is having their annual Native Plant Festival and sale. That's going to be in Medina at the Owen Slogger Nature Center. We will be at the Old Brooklyn Farmers Market. It'll be our third time going this summer. So we'll be there on Thursday, the 11th of September. It was super fun when I went last month. So come and hang out with us. And then we're going to do our first tabling in Stark County, which I'm super excited about. The 720 markets, the side street market and boutique market that day. It's at Oakwood Square. So if you're unfamiliar with what Oakwood Square is, they actually have a really cool amphitheater that they just put in not too long ago. And there's a bunch of restaurants and shops nearby. And they just have a bunch of vendors set up so you can come walk through, enjoy the amphitheater. I believe it's Dora. They'll have adult beverages there if that's your thing. So I think it's going to be a really fun time. I'm excited to get our reaches down in Stark County in North Canton and talk to the people down there. Another volunteering opportunity. This is a QR code if you want to come hang out at one of those information tables with us that I just mentioned. That QR code will take you to our Sign Up Genius if you want to volunteer. You can also just email us anytime that you so choose, and we will get back to you. We're also looking for an assistant social media chair. So if you're already on Facebook and Instagram and you're already sharing all the things about all the native plants and ecology and all the good things, we'd love to have you help us out a little bit with our posts. All right, here's some good stuff. Our recent events, we did native garden tours throughout July and August. Here's Diab with his cues to care, his signs out front. And then this was at, I believe, Jim Woolen's house on the east side of Cleveland. Kim gave a great presentation to a local organization, which I should probably look up the name of, the Building Healthy Communities. They're the Akron Medina chapter. They do a monthly meeting on some sort of healthy community, and it's a veggie potluck.
Oh, it was so good. The food was unbelievably amazing.
And Kim did our introduction to native plants for them. So we've actually gotten a few repeat attendees. A few people who went to this presentation actually came to another one of our events. So that was very exciting. Here's Kim and I at the Old Brooklyn Farmers Market back in July. It was hot, hot, hot. My favorite event that we did just last week with Medina County Park District and Master Gardeners in Medina County through OSU, we did a nature trivia night. And a big, big, big shout out to the Park District because they put together the trivia questions and answers and presentation. And it was so much fun. It was so cool. It was, I feel like the questions were just hard enough that we were like doubting ourselves on the answers, but it wasn't terribly difficult. I don't know, Kim, if you have.
I mean, to be fair, there were several that we got wrong due to a simple spelling error. I feel like, I feel like we'll bring it
I
back.
thought they gave us that one.
I was thinking of the Trillium.
I thought she gave that to us.
Did she? Oh, okay. Well, that would be nice. But yeah, it was so much fun. And I think they had such nice raffle prizes there. I mean, they were unbelievable. I think it was the Master Gardeners donated all the items for them, but
Yeah.
I mean, these giveaways were amazing. I mean, they were just absolutely amazing. I would have gone just for those. And then there was a plant swap as well, which was awesome. I mean, the whole event was just very, very well done.
Yeah, I think we definitely want to repeat this one. And of course I didn't put a picture up here of the raffle prizes, but each of them were themed, with like a really cute, like rhymey name. So there's one about like trees, there's one about, like pollinators. A lot of thought went into it, and they were fantastic, but it was a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll do something like that again. And then just this past weekend in Silver Lake, which is down in Summit County, we did a activity of design in action, a live ecology-based landscape consultation. So Tim from Stonewall Garden in Cuyahoga Falls came to the house of Bryce Pulley, who is works for the city of Cuyahoga Falls. He acquired his home about a year and a half ago, and he's slowly converting it to native. So we got to kind of like sit in on Tim's what he would do if you called him and said, "Hey, I'd like a consultation to talk about what we can do in my yard. What should I pull? Like, what's invasive, what's not, some ideas." And we kind of, it's like being that fly on the wall, and got to hear what Tim was telling Bryce. And then we also got to ask questions along the way. And it was super hot, but it was a lot of fun. We had a really good turnout, and I think everyone really enjoyed everything that Tim had to say. So definitely maybe do another event like that as well. This is last call for Wild Ones National, their photo contest. This is for the Dayton members as well. All entries have to be in by August 29th. The categories this year: living things, home landscape, signs of spring, and events. All right, our next event that we have coming up is our Summer's Last Sip. It's just going to be a happy hour at the Winking Lizard in Independence. Registration is required. We're trying to keep the crowd a little bit small. Our chapter is picking up everyone's first beverage, whether that be a Sprite or Great Lakes, whichever you choose. But it's just a way for us to hang out and not really have an agenda. And just hang out and talk about maybe garden plans for next year, or maybe something awesome you did this year, or something you would change that you did this year. We have 3 native seed collection events that are posted in live. The first one is going to be Saturday, September 13th. So this is probably a little bit of a drive for most people. This is in Huron. It's going to be at Bowling Green State University's Firelands campus. There is a prairie there that is installed, managed, and maintained by, well, I don't want to say maintained. Maybe at the beginning when it was first put in, it was maintained by John Blakeman, who he has talked with our chapter before. He did one of our chapter meetings last year and also did a separate webinar for us. Very, very knowledgeable gentleman who just wants to share his love and education for what a prairie is and how to get it to where it's thriving with anyone and everyone. So we'll be able to collect seeds. You can collect some of your own if you bring a paper bag. So this is going to be from 10 to 2 He's going to give a presentation on basically how to do it, some background on the prairie that's there, and then we'll travel around to the different, I think there's 3 plots, which are all right by each other. We're going to ask people to bring their own lunch, and we'll have a few snacks to provide. But I think it should be a really fun day. What I'm told is this prairie is like pristine. So I think it'll be a good chance to be able to see a native ecosystem, a very meticulous native ecosystem. So our second one, this is the same graphic. I'm just going through the different ones. Sunday, October 5th. This one's with Medina County Park District. This is at their, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, Letha House East. I believe that it's in Spencer, Ohio, in Medina County. I believe there's a park on the west side. There's some kind of buildings that you can go to, but we're going to be across the street. So again, it's kind of learning how to collect native seeds, and the district will use them for processing for natural resource projects in the future. They did tell me that participants will be able to take home a small amount from here as well. This one is 16 and up, dress appropriately. And then this one is Thursday, October 16th, again with Medina County Park District, but this one will be at the Medina County Soil and Water Conservation District Prairie, which is in Medina proper. Same thing for this one. I know it's a Thursday, so I'm not sure what the turnout will be, but we'd love to see you. And I know we did a seed collection at that location last year, and it was well attended. And I think their prairie is very, very pretty. All right, I made it through, and it's 8:22. I was getting worried there for a second.
I just want to add one event.
Yeah.
Just scheduled today is a maintenance day with Cuyahoga Falls in their rain garden. That will be September 20th, which is a Saturday. Don't have any other information other than that.
Thank you. See, I'm gonna put it in the chat. Here we go. Yeah, there's a property. Actually, I'll just give a quick detail. I learned, so it used to be the home, it's in, if you know Cuyahoga Falls, you know, it's pretty densely, speaking of packed in their residents, you know, a little bit larger homes, smaller yards. And there were 2 homes in particular that were kind of back to back that constantly, both of them had flooding issues. And finally, after people had moved out of them and they couldn't resell them, the city decided to tear down the homes, and that's where they made the city rain garden. And it's quite large, and it kind of, you know, it got planted, it got designed, and as most things, it sat for a while. I think it was maintained for a little bit, and then there was kind of like a transition period, and it just kind of sat, and the invasives started to come in. So there is Bryce, who actually is the one who opened up his home to our event this past weekend, who works for the city, has kind of become the new parent of the rain garden and is looking after it. And he's doing a great job of getting community groups in to help maintain it. He's gotten a lot of it. He's kind of like sectioned it off. You think like almost like an archaeological dig, how they they quarter everything off, to kind of make it easier for groups when they come in to hey, you're in this square to weed or whatever. So we're doing a maintenance day with them, and he said there will be some species to collect seeds as well, which attendees will be able to take some of those as well. So thank you, Kim, for remembering that. Not for remembering, but for suggesting it. help us reach 200 members. Tell your friends and your family who also, enjoy the natural world and native plants. Follow us on Facebook, give us a like on Instagram, check out our website. Our website's where it's at. A lot of our information is on there. So check it out, browse around sometime. We try to post as much stuff to Facebook and Instagram as we can, but I think our website is our main treasure trove of information. So thank you again, Sarah, for coming on today and chatting with us. We appreciate it, and hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your August, and we'll see you maybe at an upcoming event.